Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our live streaming coverage of our press conference for the Indy Lights Iowa Challenge. The Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires. We had a thrilling race out there. Obviously, the start you knew was going to be exciting. The mid-race was, as we expected, a little processional, except for the fact that a couple of guys were on the move, namely Zach Veach working his way through the field and ended up taking the lead. So all in all, it was an incredibly exciting 100-lapper for us. Let's start down the end with Ed Jones from Carlin Racing. Ed, you started on the pole position. Opening laps were probably as you expected. You got a good start, settled into a run. You and Felix able to stretch away a little bit. Talk a little bit about the start of the race for you and then how things progressed in the middle half when Felix was able to get by.
Yeah, it was obviously starting on pole. It gave us the best chance. We got a good start, and with the rain coming in today, the track conditions were quite different. On the warm-up lap, there was quite a bit of dust actually being kicked up by all the cars. At first, I thought it was going to be quite slippery, but we just kept it pinned from lap one on the start. And obviously, the balance changes with the different conditions. We had a lot of understeer, but it was still obviously a solid car because Felix and I was able to finish on the podium. I think the changing moment in the race for me was when I got stuck behind Neil. I struggled to get past him, and then obviously Felix passed me then, and then Neil let him through. So I think that was where the momentum changed, and we struggled. I struggled in traffic, but overall it was a good result. And again, I'm extending my lead in the championship, and if I keep doing that, it's all good. Overall,
Ed, the struggles trying to get by your teammate, was it aero push? Was it the fact that you couldn't get the car to work in certain parts of the racetrack where Neil might have been? What were the issues that made it hard for you to get by Neil?
Yeah, well, because as I said before, we had quite a lot of understeer. I'd already maxed out my bars really early on in the race, so passing traffic, you always want the car to be slightly pointy, slightly more front end, so that you can work in the traffic with less aero. But because I already had understeer, every time I got behind someone, it was exaggerated even more, and so you lost the exits, and it was very difficult to get a good run and keep it. So that was my main issue. I tried different things to work around it, but I still struggled.
I think we can know that the exit speed obviously very important here, both for Zach and Felix. Let's move down to you, Zach. You used great exit speed. Obviously, it was a very free car to be able to get through the corners, and you would tear up on people coming out of the corners and, of course, into the next corner. Can you tell me a bit about how great your car was throughout the first half of the race as you moved? But start with that very first corner, because I'm pretty sure you were 3 wide going into turn number 1. I think you're the only guy that didn't back out from the middle of the sandwich.
Yeah, well, I mean, normally I like to say that, I always end up doing better on ovals, and with what we've had this year in ovals, I kind of left backing out, not on the list of things to do because we had to get to the front. But no, I mean, very happy with Lardy Auto Racing and the car that they've given me. At first, I was a little worried. I maxed out my tools probably by the first 10, 15 laps. So at that point, I was thinking, wow, this is going to be a really tough race. But then the longer we ran, the car just came to me. I settled in running fourth for 30, 40 laps, and then things just kind of came to me, and I started finding which line really worked well for me. And honestly, it was the high line everywhere. That second lane, my car really liked to perform in, and that's what gave me the exit speed on a lot of cars because I could just keep the car free, and I think it saved my tires a little longer. But as we can see, like Ed said, we also, our momentum changing factor of the race was with Neil. I mean, I need to talk to him because I don't understand what was going on, but my view on that is if you're already a lap down and it's coming to the end of the race, you need to make way for the lead coming through. And it seems like Neil was more about trying to get in my way instead of staying out of it. So I don't know necessarily what happened there, but all in all, it's a good day. I think things changed for us at Road America, a win, a third there, and to come here and, what could have been a win to finish second. I'm happy about that. And congratulations to Felix. I mean, he did a great job. I mean, for him to come through on the last lap through that, I mean, that's a pretty impressive win, man. So congratulations.
Let's move to Felix then. Felix, it was a great win. Obviously, first being able to get by your teammate to take the lead, and then Zach kind of raced you down, and you got caught behind a lap car. It checked you up a little bit to allow Zach to get by. So it was kind of back and forth on who was getting caught up by lap traffic. But overall, just a great day for you from the very beginning, and a good run at the end. Talk just a little bit about how you feel about winning here today.
No, it feels great finally to be on the podium again and to win another race this year. From the start of this weekend, we had a really good car. Yesterday, my car broke down. Bit of an unfortunate incident, but I was really confident I was really comfortable with the lines and everything. So to be able to come from 5th in the race and race to win the race, it feels good. Lap traffic was difficult. I think that's more based on the rules here that blue flags mean nothing. So I think that's the only championship in the world that does that. But yeah, I mean, once I was able to get by Dalton after Veach got by, I was able to catch him again, but he caught traffic. So, some of the drivers out there were kind enough to let us by quickly, and then others just didn't care that the leaders were lapping them. So, overall, good race and fantastic job by Carlin Racing and Mazda Road to Indy and Team Cooper Tires. Thank you for everything.
I think it's pretty safe to say that all three of you guys and most guys in the paddock would like to be part of the Verizon IndyCar Series one day. It's obviously a feeder series, and we need to make sure you guys are well trained. Oval's very important part of it. When you came in with the program last year, you'd never run an oval before. We take you to the Milwaukee Mile, and you end up winning. And so now you have 2 oval wins and 1 road course win. Can you talk a little bit about how you feel coming to ovals now? You've won 2 races. There has to be some level of confidence coming to these races.
Ever since last year, Homestead testing, first time I was on an oval, I thought to myself I should have just stayed in Europe, because ovals are definitely very difficult. It's definitely for big boys and big balls. So, for drivers to be doing these speeds and being so comfortable and being 3 wide into turn 1, you really have to be comfortable with yourself and your skill and stay calm and relaxed, because once you tense up, that's when you start making mistakes. So I like the fear of ovals. I like the fear of how dangerous it is. Obviously, we all want to be safe every day and get out of the race, in one piece. But I love ovals. I love road courses, and I think this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Congratulations on today.
Thank you.
Any questions from the room right now? Wolfgang?
Question for you. You said you struggled in traffic. What does it mean in the race? Is the car slowing down? Is it behaving different? What does it mean in racing?
Well, when you're catching the cars, when you're following a car close behind, you lose the aerodynamic effect because they're taking the aero off the front of your car. And when it's like that, it's more preferable to have a car with more front end, a better, maybe slightly not towards oversteer, but on that verge. However, during this race, I sided with understeer already. And so when I got up to the traffic, the understeer was increased even more, which made it even harder to get close to the cars.
David?
Sorry. When you were stuck behind Stoneman, and this kind of goes for either Felix or Zach, was it hard to look after your front tyres with all the aero wash? Because, it must have been hard to kind of still try and go for the lead, but sit behind him for 10 laps.
Yeah, I think if anybody watched, you could see I had some hand gestures towards Stoneman, and I'm sure Felix will touch on that too. I think, he was fighting with a car that was, a little off pace, so I understand why he was trying so hard to keep us behind him, but I just saw some characteristics from him that, on an oval really aren't too cool to do, because, you would get a run and you're hanging on the outside by that very last bit coming to the exit of the corner. And Stoneman made a promise basically to always take the air off your wing. So, I don't know. It's how you race certain people. He's definitely very aggressive, but I think that's what it took was, he was very good in looking in his mirrors to see where I was trying to get my air from. So I think that's why it took so many laps, because if I went low, he went low. If I tried to go high, he went high. So it made it very difficult, and finally it just kind of came down to me trying to set up like I was going low, then switch to the high side, and that gave me the air to get around him. So see what Felix has to say about that.
Up front?
What was the question again, sorry?
Well, it was, how much do you hate Dean Stoneman? No, it wasn't. It was...
I think everyone knows that.
How do you look after your tyres in those circumstances? Because you had to sit behind all these guys and look after them so that they worked at the end of the race.
I think Stoneman for sure drives on the mirrors and tries to take the air out of everyone. But my car was really good, and I think I was really comfortable with my line. So I still had a lot of bar play to do. I could still adjust the front and rear roll bars. So I just try to trick him, same as Zach did. I tricked him, and he went high and I went low, and I was able to pass him, I think, even before I crossed the finish line. So, being behind someone, obviously your arrow goes away, but you just have to be smarter than him.
Joey Barnes, Motorsports Tribune. Zach, talking about that high line, is that something that you found while battling with Dean, or is that something you found in practice?
Honestly, I think it comes from just racing here. This was my third time here racing Indy Lights, and my spotter that I had with Andretti, I always noticed I didn't have the races that I wanted to have here. It seemed like I always got in traffic and I always got stuck there, and I couldn't figure out why. And my spotters, always told me to look towards the high side. I shouldn't be telling these guys that, but as the race went on, I just started playing with more and more and seeing what I could do, because what I was doing in the first 20 laps wasn't working. So if I wanted to get to the front, I knew I had to change something with myself, and luckily I kind of just kept exploring, and I found something that worked really well, and that's what gave us the car and the speed to get to the front, lead those laps, and maybe what kind of led us to our demise on that 2 to go lap as well.
Connor Ferguson, last word on sports. How did it feel when you finally got by Dean Stoneman?
These guys know. I think, you're so intense when you're in that moment, and it's such a strong battle that, I'm screaming on the radio, talk to Gottman, and I'm trying to get, things taken care of. And so when you finally get around him, it's a moment like, yeah, dude, okay, if I can check out after 3 laps of being past you, that's the best feeling, I think. It's just, okay, I got around him, but you got to reset and say, I got to continue to chase the car in front of me and just keep working on that. Because if you get too caught up in that, like Felix said, if you're not calm and collected on these things, they can really, either ruin your race or spit you out very quickly.
Yeah, I think getting past Stoneman without losing your front wing is an achievement in itself.
Wolfgang?
Zach, you said earlier that you think a driver who is a lap down must go out of the way. Is this particular subject not mentioned or spoken or discussed in the drivers' meeting?
Well, it's talked about in the drivers' meeting, and I don't want to, hate on our officiating or ruling. I think Tony does a great job, and, that's what's given us the races that we have. But, I think when you're in a position of being the lap car, you want to fight for it. But when you're in the position of leading and trying to go for a win, I think the lap car definitely needs to get out of the way. And we have the rule here that the lap car gets to fight for himself. So I think that's one of the things that just, it makes racing exciting, because that might have what allowed me to pass Felix in the first place, or that's what allowed him to pass me at the end. But, as a competitor, I feel if you're having a bad day, just out of respect, you should get out of the way for the guys coming through, especially in a race that we don't have pit stops, because, everything happens so quickly here. It can be ruined in an instant.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. The drivers will be available for one-on-ones if you want them. Otherwise, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.